WWE Money in the Bank 2021 has come and gone, and let's just say it was a very inconsistent show for WWE. Some moments were really good, like the end and the main event. Some moments were pretty bad, like the opening match, but we'll talk about those. Overall, I think it was one of WWE's weaker shows, given their recent history, especially even though this was the first big pay-per-view with fans back. I still think this was one of their weaker shows of the year, but let's get into it. So let's start off by talking about the first Money in the Bank ladder match that happened during the night. It was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match where we saw Nikki A.S.H. Yes, Nikki A.S.H. Nikki, almost a superhero, the former Nikki Cross, defeat Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Natalya, Tamina, and the returning Zelina Vega to capture the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, it's important to note that the crowd was seemingly only behind two people in this match, at least from what I could tell. Liv Morgan was very over, and also Alexa Bliss was as well. Not to say that nobody else was over, but you could see throughout the match, the people that the crowd reacted for the most, and really when they were climbing the ladders, I thought, in my opinion, was Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan. Alexa Bliss also has this very interesting and divisive character, if you ask me. I'm not sure it works for her. Then again, some of the people in the crowd seem to like it, so it is what it is. That being said, the match was really centered around everyone versus Alexa Bliss for the most part. Alexa Bliss was the biggest threat. She was climbing the ladder multiple times. She did a weird spot where she actually possessed Zelina Vega and got her to climb down the ladder. There were many spots where other performers were scared to be in the ring with her. But in the end, I think what happened was Alexa Bliss was caught on the outside and everyone just started throwing ladders on top of her. She was buried under ladders. So Alexa Bliss was taken out of the match. That left the 7 other women competing for that coveted Money in the Bank briefcase. And while everyone, literally all of them, were fighting up on top of 3 ladders, Nikki A.S.H. managed to squeak by Liv Morgan and capture the Money in the Bank briefcase. Huge surprise to everyone. I think Nikki A.S.H. was probably the last person people expected to win this. Again, congratulations, Nikki Cross. I don't understand the gimmick. It doesn't resonate with me. It's not for me. That might just be it. But again, it was a weird decision, I think. I hope they actually have plans for her because we've seen them time and time again with the Money in the Bank briefcase, put it on someone who, people didn't think was going to win and then end up losing it or losing their contractually obligated title match. And I hope that doesn't happen with Nikki A.S.H. I genuinely like her. Again, not a fan of the gimmick, but it is what it is. This match should have been won by Liv Morgan, though. They literally built this entire match around Liv Morgan not being in the Money in the Bank ladder match, even though she wins and she wins and she wins. That was the whole buildup. That was the only real story coming into this match. Because a lot of these people, like including Natalya and Tamina, were announced just days before the pay-per-view and unceremonious tweets by Sonya Deville. So I don't understand the decision. I'm not mad at it, but it's also just doesn't really make much sense. But we'll see where it goes from here. That's to be seen. Next, we had for the WWE Raw Tag Team titles, the champions Omos and AJ Styles defending against the Viking Raiders, Erik and Ivar. Omos looked very dominant in this match. While AJ was in for the match for most of the time, he took a lot of the beating from the Viking Raiders in this match. The Viking Raiders got most of their offense on AJ. AJ took the beating, but Omos would come in every few minutes and clean house and basically show that he is this huge, dominant monster that WWE wants him to be, that they wanted to replace Braun Strowman with. And for the most part, I think that worked out. Almost looked strong. AJ Styles was over, and, I think the seeds are slowly being planted. I think at the end of this, we're going to see a feud between AJ and Omos whenever they end up losing the titles. And AJ, I think, is going to end up being the face, while Omos is going to be the monster heel. A little bit of a reversal, how we've seen that in the past. But AJ Styles beat the Viking Raiders. AJ Styles and Omos, rather, beat the Viking Raiders in a pretty okay match in 12:55. It wasn't anything special. It just was what it was. Next, we had the WWE Championship Match. The champion Bobby Lashley defending his title against Kofi Kingston. And boy, oh boy, was this a dominant performance for Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley said on Monday Night Raw, he's going to cut out the BS. It's going to be no more BS. It's going to be him straight shooting for the rest of his title reign. Him just dominating people. And this was a dominant performance by Bobby Lashley. Kofi Kingston got virtually no offense in this match. It was just Bobby beating up Kofi for 7 minutes and 35 seconds. And it was a lot like the Cena beatdown of Lesnar back in 2014. And look, it accomplished what it needed to. I think it accomplished getting the seriousness, this newfound seriousness of Bobby Lashley over, because he said it for a long time. People thought of him as a joke with the VIP lounge, with the ladies, all that kind of stuff. He was getting to be a bit of a joke. And now there's no question that Bobby Lashley is not a joke. And if you ask me, I think Kofi Kingston knows that now. But, Kofi ended up passing out to the Hurt Lock. He took a bunch of dominators by Lashley, and Lashley seemed to be just toying with him for some parts of the match. But Kofi got beat down pretty bad in this, and Lashley retained his WWE title. And we're going to move on and talk about Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, because this was one of the more interesting matches of the night. The entire feud between these two was built around who could be the most obnoxious. The creative wasn't there. The story wasn't there at all. There was nothing there to make this match work other than these two performers being two of the best performers in the entire world. And if I'm being honest, the first half of the match was not that great. It was not that great. The crowd wasn't into it. The crowd was bored. They were doing the typical boring chants that they were doing. Like, it was not a good start to this match, and the creative didn't help that at all. But somewhere in the middle of this match, we saw I think the tides changed. I think it started when Charlotte Flair, honestly, or at least started to begin when Charlotte Flair flipped off the crowd, because you saw that for a minute. She flipped off the crowd, the screen went blank, WWE trying to hide it or whatever. And then that's when I think, the seriousness went in, because Charlotte Flair was kind of showing like she's sick of the crowd like shitting on this match that hasn't really had a chance to happen yet. But the match was slow to begin with, picked up really towards the end. Charlotte was really working on the leg of Rhea Ripley. She ended up squishing it. And again, this is a huge testament to these performances. They ended up getting the crowd back because there was really gripping drama towards the end of this match. Charlotte Flair put Rhea Ripley's leg in between the stairs and crushed it multiple times before applying the figure eight and won the Raw Women's title in 1650 to become to add another reign to her Women's Championship runs. And boy, she has a lot by now. But Rhea Ripley, I think, and Charlotte showed something. Regardless of the terrible booking that you're given, regardless of the terrible situation you're put in as talent, if you have the talent, you can get the crowd back. And they proved it. These are two of the most... That's why I said these are two of the best in the entire world. I was really down on this match, honestly. And then on a second watch, I really realized how great the latter half of this match was. And it's a testament to these two performers, honestly. Moving on, let's talk about the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This was interesting. A lot of things happened in this match. So we had Big E end up winning this, and we'll get to what happened there. But a lot of this match was built around Drew McIntyre being the guy. Drew McIntyre, that's the storyline that made the most sense. He had this match where if he lost to Lashley, he was not going to be able to contend for the WWE title again. And the only way to circumvent that would be by winning Money in the Bank. And there were a lot of times where he was close. I think Ricochet had a really good performance and showed people, he had some good exchanges with McIntyre. But there were times where McIntyre was close, and the closest he got, he climbed all the way up to the ladder, and then we saw Veer and Shanky, Jinder Mahal's heaters, come out and attack Drew, just literally pick him up, throw him out of the ring. And then Jinder Mahal coming in and attacking Drew with a steel chair, starting a feud with Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal. And look, Jinder has a lot to say to Drew. I would love if Jinder just came out there and said, I became a WWE champion before you ever did, and you can never take that away. It's the truth, people. It's the truth. But that's going to go to a program with them. That took Drew out of the match. And in the end, we saw Big E kind of take over the spot that Seth Rollins, who was also close very few times, also another name that people thought was going to win. We saw Big E push Seth Rollins off and end up capturing the Money in the Bank briefcase. He also had a great, huge, big ending spot off the top of the ladder. That was great. Big E, congratulations. I am so excited for Big E. Like, this is one of the most over people in wrestling. It's one of the most beloved people in wrestling. Like, Big E, everyone's happy to see this guy win, and I can't wait to see him finally compete for a world title in WWE. That's going to be great. Finally, speaking of finally, Roman Reigns versus Edge. This was a hotly anticipated contest. Edge's return into singles action for the first time in front of fans since he had that neck injury over 10 years ago. This was a 33-minute match. And just to start off, I want to get this out of the way. 33 minutes, the first 10, 15 minutes were slow. It was just Edge and Roman staring at each other. Edge and Roman Reigns just on the outside of the ring, staring at each other, doing some weird spots. Edge resting for most of it. Look, it was trying to build the drama of, and build Edge's heat later in the match. I get that, but they could have expedited that. The beginning of the match was so slow. It honestly took me out for a little bit because, especially at 33 minutes, this could have been condensed to 25 to even 20, if we're being honest. But regardless, first part of the match was a little slow, and then it really picked up when Roman Reigns missed a spear on Edge. Speared himself through the barricade, and then Edge speared him through a barricade. That's when things really picked up. Ref got bumped. Roman goes for the Glasgow smile. He rips the bar off the chair, goes for the Glasgow smile on Edge, and then Edge reverses it, gets a Glasgow smile on Roman, gets a crossface on Roman, and then in the end of the match, we see none other than Seth freaking Rollins, who confronted Edge earlier in the night, come out and cost Edge this match. He super kicked Edge, and he did it another time. He ended up costing Edge this match. Roman picked up the win after a pinfall, after a spear, and Roman retained to retain his Universal title. And then after the match, Seth Rollins was attacked by Edge, and him and Edge just brawled to the back. Roman was left there, standing, saying that he had no other competition right before John Cena's music played, and John Cena made his triumphant return to WWE at Money in the Bank to set up a feud, hopefully, between those two for SummerSlam. And one thing you cannot say after this is Cena sucks. Cena is still the most over person in wrestling. There is nobody booing him. It was all great. Cannot wait to see Roman versus Cena at SummerSlam. Again, overall, decent pay-per-view. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it a solid 3. I'm being nice. Solid 3, 2.5 to 3 out of 5. It had some really weak points. It had some pretty strong points, especially the last 2 matches. The Peacock interruptions were not great, but what are you gonna do? Money in the Bank 2021 in the books. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.